I think that people have to be really careful with this kind of stuff, personally, because now I think we're at this point where if Kris Tyson really is an evil molester, which I would not put it past Kris Tyson, even kind of, just based on Kris Tyson's predilections. Well, now you guys are now you guys like Wile E. Coyote'd yourselves into this hole where it's like anybody who comes out with allegations is going to be ripped to shreds by the wolves because you guys so haphazardly threw this together like overnight because you wanted to ride the wave of the lolicon shit. Like you guys f***ed this up really bad. Because if there was like all of this damning information, all these people that were willing to come forward, look at how you treated Lava. Now anybody who is actually a victim that may have actually been like predated upon and physically hurt, that person just saw how you handled Lava. They just saw the way that you were like, F you, we got all of our information, go yourself in a video game, we're doing our nuke stream, I don't give a F if you want us to or not. What does that say to anybody else who wants to come out? Malcolm from the future here. Just throwing in two quick pieces of context before we go forward. The first one being, there's a claim in the original video here that Lava rented a camper to go and meet up with Kris Tyson. It has been clarified by Lava that he was actually on vacation with his family, and they decided to drop in and say hi to Kris Tyson and the group that they were with. So Lava was never like, quote unquote, alone in a camper in the woods with Kris Tyson. That is not true. The second thing is that the people that got this information from Lava about their relationship, all the screenshots, and all that other kind of shit, that comes from them basically tricking Lava into thinking that he was interviewing for an editor gig, and then they basically like fished all this information out of him, which is very inappropriate. Lava has essentially said that nothing crazy has happened. Take that as you will as you go through and you listen to this, but just for context, a lot of the stuff that is presented in this video by the original poster is contested by Lava, who is the alleged victim himself. So just keep that in mind moving forward. So the other day, we went over some Kris Tyson shit. Okay. Kris Tyson is somebody who was in Mr. Beast's orbit. Not quite sure what she did in Mr. Beast's orbit. I don't follow Mr. Beast. I don't really give a fuck. So nonetheless, Kris Tyson came out as trans, and everybody was like, slay! And then it came out that Kris Tyson was actually into like a lolicon, and everybody was like, no! I think I prefaced the last video with that exact phrase, but nonetheless, it was exposed that Kris Tyson was gooning to all kinds of undesirable media, lolicon, drawn depictions of Caillou being assaulted, all kinds of just like gross shit. Just like gross. Okay, so that was yucky. We did not like that. Any hooser. In light of this, there's been like a cascade of people jumping on to like dig up dirt and scrape for shit on Kris Tyson, because obviously you get caught with your hand in the lolly jar. It makes people question, it really makes people question what other tastes you have. It makes people question if it's more than just fantasy, really. So people have been scraping, and there's a YouTuber who supposedly found evidence that Kris Tyson was talking to a minor. The ages are essentially that, or the ages that are reported is that the minor at the time was, I think, 14, and Kris Tyson was 20. So apparently they were talking, and that obviously questionable, especially given Kris Tyson's predilections and preferences as far as consuming drawn child rape porn. But nonetheless, there has been an alleged uncovering of Kris Tyson texting minors, essentially. And before we get super deep into it, I've seen a lot of criticisms just floating around. I have not watched the video, but I've seen a lot of criticisms floating around for the person who did this video, saying that it's poorly sourced, that it's kind of shittily thrown together. It's kind of like a failed hit piece, kind of shooting from the hip and just seeing what hits. And apparently it's not hitting very well. And so in light of this, the person who was the alleged minor in question, who was texted inappropriately, quote unquote, they made a statement and said, these videos are massive lies, twisting the truth. Ava, Kris Tyson is like the the popular like content creator name that they still use. Ava is her preferred name, but she goes by Kris Tyson because that's like the name that they're popular from. They just changed the spelling of Kris to a more feminine spelling. So I'm just going to be saying Kris. But so Kris Tyson says this person that was allegedly texted by Kris Tyson is saying these videos are massive lies and twisting the truth. Ava never did anything wrong and just made a few edgy jokes. I was never exploited or taken advantage of. Can you do me a favor and comment these videos to tell them to stop spreading lies? This situation takes away from children who are actively being exploited every day online. I'm not a victim of anything and anything being claimed in these videos at all. So a lot of this is alleged. I will say that there is evidence that Kris Tyson was involved with Shadman, who is somebody who does draw lolicon, like very disgusting, disturbing lolicon, including lolicon of Keemstar's daughter, and that Kris Tyson has been exposed to consume this material and like this material and engaged publicly with Shadman many times on many occasions. So even if we do, put on our critical thinking cap here and kind of take these allegations with a grain of salt, as I think that, a lot of people are horny to jump on the allegation train. And I won't lie, I think that I am too sometimes. I definitely am. I think that I would be a lie for me to say that I'm never like, oh, damn, like more slop, like let's go, let's get them. Like for sure, people are definitely dogmatic in that sense. But I think that it's important to be mindful that like even if these allegations aren't true, the Shadman, like lolicon is enough for me personally. That's enough for me. So even if, we walk away from all of this and we're done with this and we come to the conclusion as a cohesive group here, because everybody must agree with me, otherwise it's mutiny and I will have you banned. Even if we come away with that, I still think that the Shadman stuff is enough on its own to be like really fucking weird and like very like sussy-wussy and indicative of, I have said many times that I would comfortably call somebody who is into the consumption of lolicon as being a pedophile. So even if there is not drawn like minor that was harmed in any of this, I would still comfortably make the assertion that somebody that consumes lolicon in a sexual way for like sexual gratification, I would still comfortably call that person a pedophile. So at the very least, I'm comfortable making that assertion about Kris Tyson on the grounds of that alone. And again, if you disagree with me, you're entitled to your wrong opinion, and it's mutiny and you'll be banned forever. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and take a stab at this video. This video is about 29 minutes long. We've started by reading the person who is, mentioned in these screenshots saying that all of this is bullshit. So we'll take that into consideration. Obviously, as we're going through this, I feel like I've made my position here pretty clear that like, regardless of, I still think Kris Tyson is a fucking freak and a creep. But nonetheless, let us proceed, okay?
Kris Tyson, as I have uncovered within the past few hours some really damning information regarding Kris Tyson and a then 13-year-old that Kris was allegedly talking to years ago when Kris was around 20 years old, an adult. Now, before we get into what I have recently found, I just want to give a special shout out to the person who originally brought this to light, the person who had investigated all of this and provided all of the receipts, and also including all of the...
So, we'll just be mindful here that this Prism account is like a very small account. I have seen things floating around that this YouTube channel just kind of throws shit at the wall to see what sticks. I have not consumed any of this person's content, but just based on kind of the initial reaction, like I said, we're going to take everything with a grain of salt, especially if this is being sourced by somebody else. So we'll keep our critical hat on for all of this, with the understanding going in that I still think that Kris Tyson is a creep and a freak.
Brought this to light, the person who had investigated all of this and provided all of the receipts, and also including all of the information that we went over yesterday, because apparently the same person who has put out the information on these new allegations was the same person who obtained these tweets. So props to them for all of this information. Now, you guys might recall, if you watched all of yesterday's video, that at the end of the video we went over a pinned comment from a user who actually happens to be the same guy who has been covering this on his channel and who's brought today's information to light. And if you guys do remember, in that comment, Prism went over how apparently he tried to get EDP445 to talk about this, essentially to bring more attention to it, and eventually after EDP445 stopped cooperating with him, he decided to try Kris Cherne. And personally, if you ask me, I don't really know if that was the best idea, because
yeah, I mean, getting Kris Cherne involved is probably not a good choice, so we'll agree with that one right off the bat.
As you guys may know, Kris Cherne and EDP445 don't have the best reputations, nor are they really that credible. Now, a little bit further in the comment, he talks about how apparently Kris Tyson allegedly messaged a 14-year-old and jokingly flirted and talked about sending nudes to him. Now, just based off of this part in the comment, I found that to be really odd, and I had never heard of apparently Kris Tyson messaging a 14-year-old, so I figured I would do a little bit of research, and it actually turns out that Prism here made around a month ago a 40-minute long video that we're going to be going over today, and I've gone ahead and I pre-watched it, and all I'm going to tell you right now, before we get into it, is that the ages match up, and it looks really bad. that. Now, I can't say all this is true 100% or anything like that. It's all allegations. You know, take the things that you see here with a grain of salt. I know based off of what we went over yesterday, you might think that Kris Tyson is like a pedophile or a predator or something insane like that. In my opinion, I wouldn't really jump on that real quick because we don't know if 100% Kris is a pedophile or a predator or whatever. We just know that Kris has done some really weird things in his past over on Twitter. So without further ado...
Okay, if we're starting with this where it's like we're not making any strong accusations, we've just seen some weird shit. Okay, so
let's
far
get
I'm with
into
you.
it. So based off of Prism's video, he has decided to keep the alleged at the time 13-year-old's name private for the most part, and he refers to this person as BW. He uses their initials, and they also go by the screen name of Lava GS. Now, essentially what happened and how it...
Why would you show their Twitter then?
BW, he uses their initials, and they also go by the screen name of Lava GS.
If you're trying to keep this person, like, anonymous, why the fuck would you show their Twitter? Okay, I'm kind of confused now.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, essentially what happened and how it happened, according to Prism here, is Kris Tyson started a friendship with somebody who was 13 years old at the time when they were 20 years old. Now, just for a little bit of context here, the then 13-year-old actually happens to be the same age as me and is currently, as of 2024, 20 years old. Just keep that in mind as we go forward.
BW, Kris Tyson reached out to this guy when he was 13 years old. Okay. Except the problem with that is Kris Tyson started an online friendship with this guy when he was only 13 years old. Now, the problem with that is Kris Tyson was born in July of 1996. Lava GS was born on November 12, 2003. The problem with that is that there's a 7-year age gap. So when you started socializing with this guy online and building an online connection in some sort of friendship and, you know, you talking to this guy, playing video games with him, socializing, he was only 13 years old. He was in middle school and you were in college. You were 20 years old. So that's what I'm going to talk about is why is it that someone who is in college, who's like a sophomore or junior at that point, what are you doing making friends with a middle schooler?
So yeah, I mean, so far with only that, it's already...
I'm probably going to agree with this next statement that so far I would say yes, that, you know, like a 20-something-year-old befriending like a 13-year-old over the internet is kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I don't know if I would automatically say it's creepy, but I would definitely say it's weird. Like, I don't really know why you're going out of your way to befriend someone significantly younger than you that you have like nothing in common with. That is odd. That is odd.
Already looking bad. Like, this is definitely not something that Kris should have been doing, and I'm not really too sure if he knew that like he shouldn't have been doing that in really any capacity at all, because at the least it's really fucking weird. But it really makes it worse when you factor in that artwork, that quote-unquote artwork that we went over yesterday in yesterday's video. And another thing that I think is really important here is that Kris Tyson at the time was bisexual. And it's like, once again, I mean, what are you doing being 20 years old, you know, interacting with people that young? It's like you don't have friends. Like, I mean, we all know that Kris had friends. I mean, for God's sake, you know, it's like he's been friends with Jimmy for how long? Since childhood? Like, it really can't be that hard to go out and find friends that are actually around your age group. Another thing that is mentioned too, besides the two things that we just went over, is that apparently Prism has also noted that they communicated one-on-one and unattended. And yeah, that's where this starts getting bad. Like, really bad. If you thought it was bad before, we'll just think of...
Yeah, okay, so I can also agree with. I can also agree with where it's like, I could understand if you had like a group of people where you played like Overwatch or something like that, and there were like 10 of you in there, and one of them happened to be young. That's, you know, odd, sure, but like not the end of the world. But like a one-on-one interaction is a little weird with that significant of an age gap, where it's like you meet in a group and then you're like, no, come and talk to me privately over here. Like, weird. Not necessarily like the end of the world, but weird. Very weird. I will say that. Weird.
About bad, but times 10, because Prism goes into detail about how apparently Kris made Prism a moderator, and also even worse than that, and I know this is going to be stereotypical, but yeah, also Prism goes into detail about how apparently Lava had Kris added on Snapchat. Like, I know some of you guys in the audience are thinking to yourselves, well, yeah,
weird.
It looks like Kris is kind of cooked, but yeah, I got a weird snap from Kris, and then as you guys can see right here, there's a...
Got a weird snap from Kris, and it's a picture of Kris with the American flag and says, "Coming for America." So I would say that's inappropriate to joke about with somebody several years your junior who is underage. I would say that that's an inappropriate joke to make. I would say that you probably shouldn't make jokes like that with minors when you're an adult. Inappropriate. Okay.
The screenshot of the snap up in the left-hand top corner there, you can see from Christopher, and then there's a picture of Kris in front of the American flag, and there's text that Kris displayed, and the text says, "Coming for America," like CUMMING. And also just keep in mind that Lava right here, if you do the math, with this being January 26, 2019, Lava right here would have been 15 years old. And as for how old Kris would be here, Kris would have been 22 and a half years old. So yeah, by just knowing that, like, why? Why in any context would you send something like that to somebody that you most likely know is 15 years old while you are 22 years old? Like, I have a feeling that people are going to argue, well, this is a joke or something by Kris. You know, Kris is a funny guy. He's the meme god. But this right here is not a joke that you make to somebody who is 7 years younger than you, and to somebody...
Okay, so far I agree with this point, where it's like, that's not an appropriate joke to be making with somebody who's significantly younger than you are. and underage. That's inappropriate. I don't think that it's appropriate to make sex jokes like that. I would agree with that.
Who was a minor. Now, moving a little bit further in the video, Prism talks about how Kris and Lava met, and that was apparently because Lava won a challenge that Mr. Beast was doing, and Lava received a signed knife from Mr. Beast.
When he was 16, he was in a
knife.
Mr. Beast video. He asked Jimmy, how hard do you want it? 68 million people have seen it. What I want to start out with is when this guy was really young, he won...
This guy filmed this at a public park with a sauna chew in a glass case. Choices were made, I suppose.
Some sort of competition or was involved, and he DM'd Mr. Beast on Twitter and got sent a knife signed by Mr. Beast. He was like 12 or something, and it was a karambit signed by Mr. Beast. It was a CSGO karambit.
Okay.
Sure. That seems to be the first interaction that I can tell.
So I guess it's one thing for Lava to win the challenge, and that's the reason why they get into contact with him, but like after that, there shouldn't be any like connection. They, including Kris, should not have been trying to be friends with this kid or anything like that. But anyways, moving on. Now, I'm not really trying to say that this specific screenshot right here is anything more than just weird, but after what we went over in my last video with the drawings and stuff, like it's really weird, let alone having a 14-year-old moderate your YouTube stream. I showed the screenshot a little bit earlier in the beginning of the video, but we're going to analyze it now. Kris on March 26, 2018 put out a tweet and he said, I really enjoy playing Fortnite. Would you guys want to watch me stream? And then he put up a poll, and then Lava responds and he says, please stream again, in all caps. Kris responds, thanks dad, you want to moderate it? Like, yeah, I really shouldn't have to tell you why this is weird given the ages, but just why? Kris was how old during this? 2021, and he's calling a literal 14-year-old his dad? Like, I don't know, man, this shit's just weird.
Yeah, that is weird. It's giving me weird vibes, like inappropriate, and I would not suggest that anybody does that. Very inappropriate. The sex jokes are inappropriate, kind of like having like a weird blurring of boundaries where like this person is a fan and then you're giving them like moderator powers in your community. Odd, and not appropriate. I would not recommend that people do that. So far I'm on board. Okay.
Now it looks like we have some more tweets here that don't look too important, so I'm gonna skip past those. I'll show them on the screen anyway so you guys can see. It's just weird. Now it looks like we have some more tweets here that don't look too important, so I'm gonna skip past those. I'll show them on the screen.
Okay, this is Lava saying at Kris, this is pretty accurate. Me and Mangled Pickle can confirm. And then it's a meme about them playing Uno together. And then Kris says it makes me happy, like getting hit with a +4 when you're playing
anyway,
Uno.
so you guys can see that.
This is the oh yeah Kool-Aid Man, and then Kris is tagging Lava and saying perfect timing.
But then this is where the really questionable part.
And then they're just talking about predicting the Kool-Aid Man thing.
In which Lava asked Kris on February
so
14th, 2018, Kris, does she know about your hentai addiction? Like, excuse me? Like, why does Lava...
Yeah, okay, this is odd. Why does Lava know about your hentai addiction? That is very weird. Very inappropriate, very weird. I would say that that's indicative that Kris is at the very least talking to this person about the kinds of illicit material they're consuming, which I think is vastly inappropriate. Not good.
Lava know about this supposed hentai addiction that Kris has. Like, it's really odd that a 14-year-old knows that a 21-year-old has a hentai addiction, and these two happen to be friends.
Yeah,
like,
that's
why
weird.
the hell would you tell somebody who is this age, or frankly a minor, weird sexual shit in the things that you're into sexually? Like, this is highly questionable, and I don't know what Kris was doing here.
At this point, you already have been talking to this guy. You're already friends with this guy. You already know this guy. And what is he? What are you saying here? So you post something that says, "Guys, we are so close to our goal. Oh my God, one more Patreon and I'm releasing my nudes." And of course, this is some poorly made joke. I've seen these kinds of jokes online before, where it says, "Oh, if this post gets 1 like, I'll kill myself," and then the person likes it. It's this kind of joke. It says a goal of $3. I want to see if anyone is dumb enough to give me money. But of course, it's only you and this other guy in this Twitter thread. And this is the part I have a problem with. This isn't a group chat. This is literally just him and this other guy that he's been talking to and that he's friends with online. He says, Lava says, "I'm your first Patreon. Big boy." Now keep in mind, Kris Tyson, he was born July 1996, so he would have been 22 years old at the time, or around that age. And you have...
I would again say that's weird. Like, I just think that, like, and maybe this is just my perspective, this is just my opinion. I think that if you're like an adult in these situations, it's your responsibility to like shut this shit down, right? Like, you're the one that knows better in these situations where, like, if you are Kris Tyson and there's a young fan that really likes your shit or whatever, and you're, talking to them, like playing games together or whatever, because they're a fan of Mr. Beast, and so you guys are like kind of like in the same area or whatever, it's kind of your responsibility to like draw the line and say like, no, this isn't appropriate, or like, no, like it's inappropriate for me to talk to you about this kind of stuff or whatever. Like, maybe this is just me. I would hope that it's not just a me thing. Jesus Christ! But like, I would assume that the adult in the situation would be the one who's like, no, this isn't appropriate of us to talk about, or I don't feel comfortable like having this conversation with you, or it's just not my place to talk to you about these kind of things, or like shut that shit down. You know what I mean? I'm having a hard time conceptualizing how this interaction formed, like how we got to this point where we're like making jokes about like hentai and coming and like all this shit with somebody who's underage. I would just severely question someone's judgment and like what they're even doing if they're unable to like put their foot down and be like, no, dude, like this is inappropriate. Like, that's kind of my thing right now.
This guy who was born in November 12, 2003, he would have been 14. And of course, here he is. I'm your first Patreon, Big Boy, which he's calling him Big Boy. And he shows that he donated some money. He donated like $1 or something. So it's not enough to meet the goal. And he says, but not $5. Pathetic. Just kidding. Kissy face.
Now, I don't think I should have to explain why this is bad. And they definitely really, like, the worst look, especially given the shit that we went over in the last video. And I know that this is off topic. I really hate to go off topic. But the amount of people who are in my comments in the last video justifying the lolly, or at least trying to, is absolutely insane. And I'm hoping that when this video comes out, because I'm currently making it, I really hope that this can help change your disgusting perspective on people like this and their weird kinks. Because this is bad. And what we went over in the last video is disgusting in and of itself. Now, when it comes down to those tweets where apparently Lava was going to donate to Kris Tyson, I mean, you can obviously try to justify it with a joke, and I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the most damning thing ever, but when it's coupled with the fact that, you know, that previous shit came out that I talked about in my last video, and the other things that we're currently going over in this video, it's inappropriate behavior, it's weird, and I'm not calling Kris anything more than a huge weirdo who has had an inappropriate conversation with a minor. But like, overall, this is fucking bad.
Yeah, this is the part that I have a problem with, and I'm gonna say this, but if you know this guy is that young, and you've been talking to him one-on-one online, and you've been socializing with him and making friends, what is this comment supposed to mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means that you're telling him that he needs to donate $5 so you can release your nudes or whatever, and you sent him a kissy face. Now, granted, he could say that this...
I feel like this guy is doing like a lot of intuition pumping, but I mean, it's hard for me to not see where he's coming from with all of it, because I would agree that, like, given all of the context and everything that has kind of popped off in the last couple of days, I would say, yeah, this like all together, like forming like an actual thing, I would say, like, yeah, this is starting to look like pretty fucking weird. And even if you take all the context out of it and it is still just like stupid jokes and stupid memes, like, which is the defense basically, is saying that, like, oh, well, it was just a joke, like they weren't actually, you know, trying to get enough money to send nudes to a minor. I don't think that is like, I don't think that's like a joke. I just don't think that that's something that you should be joking about. I don't think it's appropriate for you to be an adult in a situation like that and, like, allow somebody who's underage to make jokes like that with you and, like, go along with it. It seems very inappropriate.
This is a joke or whatever, this is bro talk, but keep in mind, this is with someone who's 14, and this is someone who's in college talking to, like, someone that isn't even in high school yet, really, or if he was in high school, he just joined it. Oh boy, because what I'm seeing here is he says, "Wait till my Twitch revenue comes in." Winky face. So you're sending kissy faces, he's sending you a winky face, and the premise is you're trying to get him enough money so you can get his nudes.
Not a good choice here.
Really weird,
this looks
considering
bad.
The fact that this is one of your online friends, and this massive age difference. And of course, it continues. He says, check again, and he tags you, I think. At least that must be you, or he's tagging you. And of course, he says, I posted some fire nudes for you. Please no share. And this is someone that you're talking...
Yeah, dude, this is not the vibe. This is not the vibe. This is fucking weird. This is really fucking weird. Even if I personally, like, I don't know if it's a joke, just given Kris Tyson's appetite for certain material. But even if it was just a joke, like, this is a weird fucking joke. This is very inappropriate. This is a pretty inappropriate dynamic that's going on here. What the fuck?
Talking to that is 14 years old, that you know is 14. And at the end of the day, you cannot be talking about topics like this with someone that is this young.
Even if Kris happened to not have bad intentions here, Kris shouldn't have been talking to somebody this age like that, and that's the problem.
Yeah, that surmises kind of my thoughts pretty well. Is like, even if Chris's intention was not to be like weird and creepy and molesty and rapey, this is still inappropriate. Like, even if that wasn't Chris's intention, that's how it comes across, and it is still inappropriate.
At least as of right now. Let alone that Kris is frequently on the Mr. Beast YouTube channel and in Mr. Beast videos where, you guessed it, the primary audience is little kids. But I mean, even besides that, once again, he shouldn't have been talking to this person who happens to be underage, and he most likely knew that.
Keep in mind, you're bisexual, okay? You're talking to
the bisexual part is kind of
14, and you're in.
You can be like, people who are abusers are not really super preoccupied with like orientation. I don't believe. Kind of a weird thing to, like, yes, you are gay and an abuse. It's like, it just not really necessary, but I mean, carry on, I suppose.
College, and the premise here is you guys are joking with each other about sending nudes.
Yeah,
that's
not appropriate.
You can't do that.
No,
and
not appropriate.
Let me just say it like this: it doesn't matter if you're joking or not. Solicitation is solicitation. There should be zero discussion about anybody sending anyone who's 14 years old nudes of any kind. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure if you sent this guy nudes or not. For all I know, this very well could be a joke. But you are talking inappropriately to a guy who is 14 years old and to a guy who you know is 14 years old, and that's what I have a problem with. What I have a problem with here is the way that you're talking to him, the fact that he's asking you about animated pornography, and this is one of your friends with online, which, by the way, you shouldn't even be friends with a middle schooler to begin with because you're in college.
Now, the situation only seems to get worse and worse as we go further, because on January 14th, 2019, and there was a screenshot that was posted by Lava. Now, I'm not really sure where this picture came from, if Kris sent this to Lava, or if Lava took this somehow, or...
Yeah, so this is a screenshot, and this tab says dark. What does that say? It says dark. I can't read what the fuck that says. Dark. Maybe dark memes? Maybe? Dark something. I don't know. And then it's Lava saying, this is a bad way to hide your hentai, and then tags Kris, which, again, I would say inappropriate. It is, I don't think there's a situation where it would be appropriate for a minor to know an adult's sexual pornographic preferences. I would consider that to be very inappropriate.
What? But it's captioned, this is a bad way to hide your hentai, at Kris02. Now, as far as I'm aware, that is Kris, even though it's a different handle. But yeah, no, it's just so weird that in context to Kris, this Lava guy is constantly, like, pointing...
Okay, and if that's not Kris, then obviously... I mean, that's a whole other bag of worms right there, of course. If it is Kris, I'll, maintain the criticism that that is inappropriate and really fucking weird and sussy and probably indicative of something worse, I would say, but... I'm not loving this, you guys.
Out that, oh, this is a bad way to hide your hentai. Oh, does she know about your crippling hentai addiction? And just things like that. It's just so weird. Let alone that in 2019, this would have made Lava around 15 years old. Another screenshot of a tweet that was obtained by Prism here is from November 11th, 2019, and it's replying to Kris.
And then it says, I love how I set up that embedded, so it just shows you looking so sexy. Like, yeah, again, like, as an adult, you should just be like, no, dude, we're not, like, it is not appropriate for you to be talking like this, and... I just don't... I question the integrity of the adult that allows this interaction to continue. Like, I question the adult who is not putting a stop to, like, this kind of engagement. I am very suspect of anybody who is comfortable allowing somebody underage to engage with them like this. It's very, 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 very inappropriate.
Kris and gamer subs. And Lava said, I love how I set that embed up so it shows you looking sexy. Kind of a weird comment to be making, especially after all of the things that we just went over and the things that we still have yet to go over. But yeah, I don't know. On February 14th, 2020, Lava tweeted at Kris02, will you be my Valentine? Winky face emoji. Like, I don't know what friends do this. Like, even if it's like a normal friendship and it's not like some weird 7-year age gap friendship. But like, what normal friendship is constantly like this? And I mean, with the given context that Kris was bisexual at the time and still might be bisexual on top of all the other things that have came out, like, this is highly suspicious. Here's some unrelated replies. This one is from December 25th, 2019. And it's Lava saying, thank you, Dad, with a heart emoji. Like, just a quick question for you guys in the audience. If you're friends with somebody and you're not gay and you don't have feelings for them and you just have a normal friendship, say like you're a 20-year-old, you got some friends from high school that you still talk to that are around the ages of 19 to 25, just for a little bit of context there. Do you guys talk in this way? Do ya? Because I can tell you right now, I don't talk to my friends like this. But I guess also at the same time, I'm not really friends with minors. So, but yeah, no, this is oddball behavior. This is another unrelated tweet that was made on May 12th, 2018. And this was Kris responding to...
I set this completely on its own. In a vacuum is nothing. Love ya. Like that. Yeah, that's whatever. Like, that's not strange to me. Like, just, hey, hope you're doing well. Love ya. Like that. doesn't really do anything for me.
Lava, and Kris said, thanks Lava, love ya. Now moving a little bit further on, I mean, if I'm Kris right now, how in the hell do I explain this? Lava put out a tweet and said, Kris bullies me, and then he attached a screenshot of some pinned Discord messages with him and Kris. And Lava says, practice with this, at Kris the meme god. And it's a banana, right? And I think we all know what that signifies right there. And this was February of...
Again, I still feel like we're doing intuition pumping because, like, it would be nice to know the context behind that. Because that could have just been, like, a dumb joke. So far, like, what I have seen so far, I would be comfortable saying, like, this is inappropriate and, like, not okay. Like, the way that we're joking about, like, hentai and sex and sending nudes and shit like that, not appropriate at all. But some of these screenshots are kind of like, it's like, like the love ya one that didn't really, like, I feel like that's normal to be like, oh, hope you're, well, love you, whatever. Like, that isn't a big deal. And then the banana thing, too, like, there's no context provided for that, so it could have just been, like, a dumb meme or something like that. I don't know. But in relation to everything else, I am very uncomfortable with the energy that we've created in the studio.
2019, by the way. 2 days before Lava sent this, in whatever Discord this is, Kris sent an image and captioned it, Lava's mom tomorrow. Like, what the fuck, Kris? What the actual fuck?
Okay, it's just like a blown out image of James Charles. Again, context would be helpful here because if this is just like I don't know what the joke is. Like, I don't know if they're just like making a joke about his mom being like ugly or something, or like wearing too much makeup. I don't know what that is.
This kid is how old again? This kid? It's a kid and you're how old? Like, okay, you could easily say that this is a joke and whatnot, but these are definitely not things you should be sending to minors when you are an adult. Like, again, it's oddball behavior. Now, it looks like a month before that on January 13th, 2019. I know the timeline is like all over the place here, but on January 13th, 2019, Kris tweeted out Lava GS's stream and said, my friend Lava GS is live on Twitch. Go spam lobster in the chat. Now, I really want to say that this is too bad, despite the fact that Kris has the 7-year age gap friendship with the person who he's shouting out here. Now, as we all know...
Well, okay, this is also like kind of an embellishment now, because this is somebody who is like a big content creator, and their relationship for all intents and purposes is like because Lava was a fan of these people, so giving like a shout out to a creator isn't really necessarily that odd, I don't think. Like, I don't know if that's weird, where it's like, oh, this person is streaming, go check them out, like, I like their content. Like, I don't necessarily know if that's weird. Like, I feel like we're embellishing a little bit right now, and that's not... I don't know if that is where we want to go with this. I'm not sure.
Kris is a little bit of a memer, so on March 4th, 2017, he put up a screenshot of what looks like to be a message on a 4chan post, if that's what they call them. I've never been on 4chan. Or this could be Reddit. I don't know which one it is, but it's a post from Anonymous, and it says, objectively, the easiest way to prevent a R word is to start consenting. What can I say, guys? Kris is just the meme god. Am I right?
And then, again, this is, like, you could use this to contribute towards Kris's weird, inappropriate, and degenerate sexual predilections in regards to consuming lolicon and what have you. But I don't know if that needs to be in this video. Like, that would have been fine in the other video, I think. But if you're building a case that Kris was sexually inappropriate to this minor, the examples that we have right now, in my opinion, are just fine. Like, the examples of, like... Why are we, like, grabbing shit that doesn't and just throwing it at the wall to see if it would stick? Because it is very clear, from my perspective, that... One, there's, like, zero circumstances why a minor that knows you online should know what kind of porn you're into. That's fucking weird. Two, you shouldn't be ever joking about, like, sending or sharing nudes with a minor. That's fucking weird and perverted and disgusting. But, like, we're getting to this point in the video where we're just kind of, like, posting shit. That's the vibe that I'm getting. Where we're just kind of, like, seeing what's gonna get the reaction we want. I think that we're over embellishing here, because if we just sticked with the original couple of things that we presented, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But now we're just kind of like Kris is bisexual. Kris also one time shouted out their stream. Like, these things are kind of innocuous on their own. Like, I understand that this guy is creating like a larger case, if you will, as to like all this weird, inappropriate behavior, but like, I don't think that saying, like, love ya is, like, inappropriate, or, like, shouting out somebody's stream is necessarily inappropriate. The porn preferences, very fucking inappropriate. Joking about sexting, very inappropriate. But, like, this shit seems kind of like a stretch.
Now, I really doubt this has anything to do with Lava, but still. Interesting meme you got there, Kris. Now, anyways, moving on. It doesn't really seem like there's too much proof of this, but Prism goes on to talk about how, allegedly, Kris and Lava met up. Because if you guys are unaware, Lava is from West Virginia, and...
Why are you bringing up that they may have met up, then? There's no proof of this. It's only hearsay that they met up in real life. And we looked at this earlier on, is that Lava is denying that there was any inappropriateness between the two of them, which I would say that there was, in fact, inappropriate engagements between the two of them. But there isn't proof that Kris, like, ever sent this person nude images, or that Kris ever, like, asked for nude images from this person or anything like that. I don't know why we're going into like hearsay now. That's very odd to me because I think, like I said just a moment ago, I feel like everything that has already been presented stands well enough on its own to say like, no, this is fucked up and this is weird and we should probably say something about this because it's odd. And now we're just like throwing in all this extra shit. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it would be clear.
Kris is from North Carolina, and if you don't know anything about that and how close those states are to each other, well, yeah, they're actually not too far away from each other. And it would be super easy to drive over to that state in like a few hours. Now, I'm not saying that anything happened. These are allegations, and Prism is about to do the talking here, but if this actually did happen, that would have been the most insane, disgusting thing to ever happen regarding Kris Tyson. And once again, I'm not saying it happened because I don't know, but if some weird shit like that did happen, it 100% is over for Kris Tyson.
I have no idea if this guy, anything happened to this guy physically. I can only show that they're talking about inappropriate topics with each other. I can show that there's a vast age difference, that he should not have been socializing with this guy in the first place, but he did. And the fact that he was able, like the moment he was able to meet up with him, he met up with him in person, which I think is highly inappropriate since he was
yeah, but we don't
know
know if they met up, so.
He's also attracted to men, and the guy's a guy. It's highly inappropriate.
Thing again.
The circumstances he showed up in is inappropriate. Here we go. So this one's in Carl's server.
Okay.
Right here. It's a Discord messaging. Discord messaging. He said, I love Carl, though. I drove from West Virginia to North Carolina. I'm sitting in a camper in the woods right now. I love Carl, though. So Carl is amazing, and that is a fact. True. He hugged me before Kris managed to. Carl, sleep. I'm just friends with Carl. I don't need mod. His mod team is already top-notch. Why do you want to come to North Carolina?
Oh, this is in the fucking way.
Because winky face. Winky face. Carl simps for me. Who doesn't simp for Carl? I think we all simp for Carl. I know, right, Teehee? Offering to buy me ice cream if I do stuff for him. Why do you want to come to North Carolina? And money. Sneak me away from New York to North Carolina, that's why. Carl simps for me. Who doesn't simp for Carl? Boy Jedi, why do you want to hide in my suitcase? Sneak me away from New York to North Carolina, that's
Which
why.
one of these
Wait,
is supposed to be
older,
Kris?
Boy Jedi, you're both 16, right? I'm 16. Jedi 16. Carl reading all the simping, like, at Carl, see you Tuesday.
So all this is showing is that Lava claims to have gone to one of the Carolinas. I don't remember which one. I have like no memory retention. But like all this claims is that they went to North Carolina. Not that anything like happened or like that they even met up with Kris.
Baby girl, I'm in a camper on a hotspot. Imagine being in the woods. Imagine simping over Carl. And of course, here is the Steam account of Kris Tyson. It is estrogen dealer, and they are both friends with each other. Lava GS and Kris Tyson.
Yeah, they're friends on Steam because they play games together. I kind of figured that one out.
As you can see here, the games that they played, it matches up with the tweets that they made.
Okay.
And as you can see, Mangled Pickle is also on there. It matches up with the tweets that they made. Now this one, again, he's going to have to explain this. So this guy is super young, right? He's been talking to him since he was super young, 13 years old. So why is it that not only are you DMing this guy on Twitter, you're Snapchatting this guy, you're talking one-on-one in a voice chat with this guy.
Okay, so these are the screenshots that I've seen. I want to.
Not only are you DMing this.
Okay, so this is in a general Discord server, so this is not in private DMs. Lava says, Kris DM'd me on Twitter asking me to come help him on Beast's stream. So this is just showing that they did have, like, private interaction at one point, which I would say is inappropriate, sure. But this image itself is from, like, an actual group chat.
On Twitter, your Snapchat.
This image is shared in it looks like a group chat. Let me turn this off. It looks like this is shared in a group chat, and then it's the Snapchat where it says "Coming for America," and it's Kris taking a picture with the American flag, and then Lava saying, "I get weird snaps from Kris," which this is an inappropriate Snapchat. I would consider it to be not appropriate to send that to somebody who's underage if you're, you know, like 20 years old. Very weird.
You're talking one-on-one.
And then this one is a screenshot of Lava and Kris in a voice call together, but I can't. AMA, Kris, something, meme god, Kris the meme god. Is this like a voice channel in Mr. Beast's Discord server? Or is this like a private call? Because I can't really discern. It looks like this might be a BC in Mr. Beast's server. Maybe? I can't really tell. And this is grainy as fuck. It was taken on like a fucking Nokia phone from the Stone Age. I can't really see what that says. And if it's true that they were all playing games together, it wouldn't surprise me that they were in a group chat together, but I don't, like, this isn't showing that they had, like, that this is them like engaging one-on-one. You could argue very easily that they did engage one-on-one at some points because they had each other on Snapchat. It's not like they were in like a group chat on Snapchat. They were Snapchatting each other, which I would consider to be inappropriate. But like these last couple of messages only show like their interactions as far in as like a group chat of sorts. And I cannot tell if this is like a private call or not. But again, I would assume that they had spoken at least privately once before because they were on Snapchat. So
voice chat with this guy. But the kind of Snapchats that you're sending, this is the Snapchat that you sent. He said, I get weird snap from Kris. And it's a picture of him making a weird face next to an American flag, and it says, "Coming for America." Now, you might think that, oh man, this must be some weird 4th of July joke. Nope, it's not 4th of July. You can clearly see the date right there. This guy would have been like 15 at this point.
Oh, it wasn't 4th of July? Did I miss that? Oh, it's on... Oh, January 26th. Okay, so it's not a 4th of July joke. There. Okay.
This guy would have been like 15 at this point. And why are you sending a 15-year-old a message saying "coming for America"? Why are you DMing a 15-year-old anyways on Snapchat? Why are you doing that? Why are you DMing this guy you've been talking to since he was 13 on Snapchat?
So yeah, we're definitely going to need some clarification or something from Kris. Kris has to say something. Kris can't be quiet like Kris has been for the longest time. This needs to be something that Kris is going to address head on, like right now. Because after I put up this video, which I mean, it's already up if you're listening to it right now, it really wouldn't surprise me if everybody hops onto this and it becomes a huge thing, just purely based off of how the last video did. So if I'm Kris right now, I'm addressing this. I'm proving that, oh, this didn't happen, or it didn't happen the way that it did happen, or whatever. Or I'm at least saying something. I don't know. Because you can't just be silent about something like this. Like, there's been so much shit that has been shown of you being weird and having inappropriate conversations with at least one minor, you being into lolly, and now apparently there are allegations of you meeting up with a 15 or 16-year-old in the woods back when you were 24 or 25. Like,
yeah, again, like we're really embellishing. We don't even need the hypothetical meetup that nobody can prove happened. Like, we can just say that their interactions were inappropriate and it was really fucking weird. Like, we could just say that, just point blank period. We don't have to embellish.
Kris, if you're watching this, because I really wouldn't be surprised if you're watching it, you need to come out and say whatever you can and say at least something, especially if you didn't do this. Because, I mean, you already look bad enough. Having allegations of you meeting up with a minor, potentially, is not going to make you look any better.
They're talking about profile pictures. He said he put his profile picture as Kris Tyson from Mr. Beast. And here's another Twitter message. Or, sorry, here's another Discord message. He said, Kris DM'd me on Twitter asking me to come help him on Beast's stream.
We saw that one.
And here's another one. And here's a screenshot of Kris Tyson talking to this guy. This ain't true. And this screenshot
we saw that screenshot
Kris
too.
Tyson talking one-on-one with him. And at this point, he would have been 16. And here we go. Here's the picture of them meeting up together. I'm going to censor his face.
Okay, so they did meet up in real life, but this doesn't like really prove that anything happened. It could, again, this person is like a fan of Mr. Beast and Kris Tyson. So it could have just been like a meetup. They could have just like met up, and then obviously they're not alone. Like, Kris is right here, here's the person, and then here's some, I don't know who this is, but somebody, like, they weren't like alone. It's not like it was like the Rape Factory or whatever. They were just like, they met up, and it looks like there was a few of them that did. So I don't.
Of them meeting up together, I'm gonna censor his face, and as you can see right there,
oh yeah, there's like a few of them
right there. There's Kris Tyson right there. Kris Tyson was talking to this guy since he was 13. Kris Tyson was in college, and of course, the moment he was able to drive, he takes a camper van out in the middle of the woods.
So yeah, that essentially confirms that they met up. Now, I'm not really too sure if the parents were okay with this or how this really went, but we have Lava here saying in Discord DMs that apparently he's taking a camper van to a very secluded area in the woods to meet up with Kris or the Mr. Beast crew. And then we get pictures.
Why are you going off of this? Because you don't even know if they did meet up in like the woods or whatever. It looks like they just like met somewhere like in a group of people. Why are we extrapolating that they were like in the woods? I don't know.
Instagram with him and Kris and other Mr. Beast members. So yeah, it's very apparent that they did meet up in one way or another. I don't know if anything happened or what. I really hope nothing bad happened. But yeah, just given the way that he's been talking to this guy and how Kris was into lolly and stuff like that, definitely not a good look at all. And people are definitely going to be questioning this meetup. Now, I decided to do a little bit of research to find this Instagram page, and I was actually able to find it. And currently it's on private, meaning that you have to follow it to see what's in there, see what the person posted, but it has the same profile picture and everything. And you can see the age that he provided. It says 20. And then since I actually happen to follow Kris on Instagram, I really don't use Instagram too much, but since I happen to follow Kris on Instagram, it says followed by Kris Tyson. So yeah, we're definitely going to need some answers when it comes down to this, because I'm really not too sure what exactly happened, but the allegations are incredibly damning, and it really is not a good look, Kris Tyson. I know there's gonna be people who see this video and they're gonna be like, Kris is a P-word, like a pedo, or like a groomer. We don't know that. That's not what I want you guys to say.
Well, you kind of stacked the deck this way, did you not? Like, why are you gonna like fall back now and be like, oh, well, everybody's gonna be like super ass mad about this video and everybody's gonna say this, that, and the other, and I'm not saying that. Even though that was kind of like where you were going the whole time.
Because it's not 100% confirmed, but I just wanted to bring this whole situation to light because I feel like more people should know about this and the shady behavior that Kris has engaged in the past, and I would really love to see a response from Kris about this, because this is damning, and it does not make Kris look good at all. Now, as for the rest of Prism's video here, if you want to watch the whole thing, that was around like 27 minutes, I think, of Prism's video, but pretty much for the rest of it, Prism just made a statement, and he explained why he was doing this and why he spread this information, and he also made it very clear that he has no ill will for BW, aka Lava. He just wanted to spread this information and bring some light to this situation and the pattern of weird behavior.
I also like how he blurred his face in one of the pictures, and then he showed his Instagram, which has his picture of his face as the icon. This is very weird. This is very weird.
Kris has had in the past. So yeah, for the people who would like to watch his full video, I went over the main majority of everything, but for those people, I will be leaving a link to his video down in the pinned comment down below. So if you guys want to go check that out, feel free to. And yeah, like I said, this video was not made to call Kris Tyson anything like insane, like a pedo, groomer, predator, or anything bad like that. It was just to bring this very concerning information to light. And I figured I should cover this too, since I already covered the lolly stuff from 2 days ago. So yeah, I guess with that all being said, I'm going to be wrapping up the video right there. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah, dude, I'm not... It just seemed like a lot of embellishment. It seemed like a lot of embellishment, a lot of leaps. Like, and again, I think that you could make a strong enough assertion without all the extra shit in there. Because the fact that, like, if we just think about this for like 1 second, the fact that 20-plus-year-old Kris Tyson is not just like online playing games with, but like friends with somebody who is underage, that's weird and inappropriate. Within that relationship, this person is aware of what kind of porn Kris Tyson likes. That's fucking weird and inappropriate and not okay. And then they're also engaging in like humor, quote unquote, about like getting nudes from Kris Tyson. Like Kris Tyson giving nudes to this person who's underage. That's very inappropriate and disgusting as well. I don't know why you need to throw like other shit in there. It doesn't really make any sense to me unless like you're really scraping and like taking shit out of context. Because like I said before we even started this, the lolly stuff on its own is enough for me. That is enough for me to say like, no, this person is like a deranged freak and I don't really care. That's more than enough for me. But even if you don't take the same position to me, which is unfortunate because you'll have to suffer in the Great Purges. Even if you don't take that position, that stuff is still weird. Like like a 15-year-old should not know a 20-plus-year-old's like porn preferences. That is very weird and very inappropriate. But we're just kind of like throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. It seems like this dude got like a big rush, like going after Kris Tyson in the first video about the lolly, and was like, oh damn, like what else can I dig up without really thinking about putting it together in like a constructive or convincing way, because it doesn't come off that way. It doesn't come off that way. It seems very, very haphazardly thrown together to try and like get a dunk is kind of how it feels. And I'm not saying that what Kris Tyson did wasn't fucking weird and freaky. It's very weird, freakish behavior. And I would not let anybody like that with a 10-foot pole around a child. Like, not even fucking close. Very weird, very strange, very sus. But it just feels like we're just like throwing shit at the wall. And then, of course, on top of all of this, it looks bad when you're not collaborating with the person who is the alleged victim. And I don't mean collaborate in the way where you're making like your YouTube hit piece or whatever, but like at the very least, like having like, this sounds like so weird, but like their blessing, right? Because Lava has come out and said like, I don't think that anything weird went on with me and Kris. Like, I don't know why this is being litigated publicly. Like, nobody talked to me about this. And, like, without having sensitivity to the person that was involved directly in this, I think is kind of a mistake. Not only optically, but I would also say, like, principally, right? Like, I don't really know if it's appropriate for you to, like, put this person on blast as, like, the ultimate rape victim of Kris Tyson when they themselves are not even really comfortable like saying what happened to them was weird. And I would say that what happened to them was very weird. And I would say that it, if anything, it was, you know, potentially the early budding stages of grooming, if not something much worse and more nefarious. And this person is somehow, you know, staying away from that or not wanting to get involved with that for whatever reason. But that's that person's choice to make. It's not really other people's, place to kind of like do that. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like this was all, like, I feel like this dude made the video on the lolly thing a couple of days ago, and that blew up, and this dude was, like, rushing to get another piece of content pumped out that was going to do just as well, and kind of just grabbed whatever was in front of him, because I would I would hope that like your priority would be the person who was allegedly abused in all of this to kind of be like the forefront of it, right? And if you have like this big nuke on somebody that you don't like, but the person who is the victim of that is like, I don't want to go public with this. I don't want to talk about this. Fuck, I don't even feel like anything that bad happened. Your priority shouldn't be the nuke. Your priority should be like that person, right? Because if it was the case that Lava was groomed and abused and that something bad did happen when they met up in real life, congratulations, Lava is never going to want to talk about this ever. Like, the only person that you fucked over in all of this was Lava. Because Lava isn't going to be able to do anything now. Lava can't give his perspective or what he feels happened. Lava can't do, like, that discovery process for himself. You just kind of, like, shoved this victim badge onto Lava and then expect Lava to, like, carry that forward. Maybe something did happen that was terrible, and I don't know. I'm not God. I wasn't there. But now Lava doesn't have the ability to process that on their own terms. Now Lava has to do it publicly. And you made that choice for Lava, which is inappropriate, I think. It would be different if Lava came to you and said, hey, you know, I have all this information on Kris Tyson. This happened, this happened, this happened, and I want to blow the fucking lid off of this. Okay, cool. Like, that's something that you can work with Lava about. But to take that from Lava, like Lava's ability to like have a voice in any of that, I think is really fucked up. Especially if it seems like Lava hasn't even come to terms with the fact yet that what went on with Kris was fucking weird and was inappropriate, because Lava is maintaining that he doesn't feel like anything was inappropriate. That is inappropriate. Yes, it is. It is inappropriate. And potentially dangerous depending on, you know, what happened and things that we don't know. I don't know, dude. It just seemed like it was just thrown together for just because their lolly video popped off the other day. And again, I will be very clear, I think the lolly stuff is enough to say Kris Tyson is a sick in the head freak that needs to be kept away from children. That's more than enough for me. But for other people who maybe aren't convinced, and for Lava themselves, this definitely was not the vibe, is what I will say. I still think that Kris Tyson is a freak, and Kris Tyson should be kept away from kids. But this was not the move. This is not how you get that information out in the open. That's not how you do it. I find that to be very inappropriate, but that is my opinion. It's most likely a joke since this is all public, but it raises the question on why on earth have such exchanges with minors in public with messages. Kids will be reading those. Not only that, Esben, but I think that it is, I think that if there's something like that is inappropriate that you're willing to do in public, it makes people really scared of what you're willing to do in private. And I've kind of always held that position. Like, if you're brave enough to act like that in public, it makes me, like, pretty suspicious of what you're doing when people aren't looking. Like, if you're unafraid to make jokes about sending nudes to, like, kids on Maine, I don't know, dude. Like, what you're doing in private is probably a whole lot worse than that. Obviously, I can only infer. But that's kind of, like, where my, like, gut feeling is, like, if you're willing to act like that in public, I'm pretty scared about what you are doing in private, personally. But I think the reason why Malcolm is going to anti-LGBT sources is because this is the more queerphobic sources talking about. Well, and the thing that sucks, go get your gun, and this is something that I think is really frustrating, is queer people in general close ranks pretty tightly. Queer people tend to sweep for other queer people pretty fucking hard. It is hard to find queer people who are willing to call out, like, porn sick freaks like this. It's very difficult. A lot of the people that are calling it out are right-wing or transphobic or whatever. And that's something that I find incredibly frustrating. For example, the Rose Montoya thing. Rose Montoya, allegedly, rapist. Who's talking about that? Buck Angel and right-wing media sources. There was a podcast that ended up talking about it a little bit, but nobody in the mainstream is talking about this because we don't want the heat. Everybody always says, not in an election year. We can't talk about this because people are targeting trans people. We can't bring this up. We can't do this. We can't do that. I remember many moons ago when Eli Ehrlich got exposed for being an abuser, everybody was like, don't talk about it right now, like they're getting dogpiled. It's like, fuck that. Why are we sweeping for people like this? There's no reason that we should be providing cover for people because we share a common community. And that's part of the problem is that, and that's something that I find exceptionally frustrating, is that if I do want to go somewhere to like learn about allegations about other people, I do have to go to like transphobic sources. I do have to go to like right-wing media. I do have to go to like, whatever fucking website here. Rideau is one of the only ones that reported on fucking Rose Montoya. That sucks. And it's really frustrating because it's like, yeah, Kris Tyson is trans. Okay, Kris Tyson is a sick fucking freak. let's talk about it. I shouldn't have to go to like the corners of the internet to find people like calling out people's weird and inappropriate behavior. I shouldn't have to do that, but I do, because people are scared to talk about it because they're like, we don't want to dogpile like a trans woman is speaking. And it's like, I don't give a fuck who is speaking. If whoever is speaking is a fucking predator, I don't fucking care. I don't care. I don't care if we both happen to be trans. You don't get the special fucking Malcolm seal of approval because you also chopped your tits off. I don't fucking care. That doesn't mean anything to me. All I can say is that Kris has made some terrible things and shown inappropriate, unethical behavior, but I don't know if that we're going to take it any further. Well, and obviously nobody can say definitively whether or not Kris has done anything physically to somebody else, but that's not the point. The point is that that predilection is there, and that's something, at least for me, that's more than enough to point to this being inappropriate and something that people should be aware of. But again, it's the only person that this fucks over is Lava. It doesn't really, because Kris Tyson can just not say anything. Kris Tyson can just, like, shut the fuck up and not comment on it. But Lava is the one that is being compelled to, like, speak out. And because Lava hasn't, you know, I'm obviously not Lava, but because Lava hasn't really, like, had the opportunity to say their piece or his piece, or I think it's him, Lava hasn't had the opportunity to do that. The only person that's getting fucked over is Lava. And that's exceptionally unfair. Exceptionally unfair. Well, and yeah, the amateur pedo hunting is bullshit because it doesn't seek to, like, remedy the harm that is caused to, like, the potential victim or whatever. It's just for clout. Because if they actually gave a fuck about Lava, they would have asked Lava, like, do you mind if we do, like, a nuke on this? Or, like, would you like to participate in a nuke on this? Or can we use your information or whatever? And then if Lava said no, they could have, like, completely anonymized it, taken everything out of it that referenced Lava. Like, if you still wanted to do this, I would still question your reasoning for wanting to do it if the person that is the victim is saying, like, please don't. But there are ways to do it where you can, like, anonymize pretty much anything, like any of the allegations or whatever. Like, there was a way to do it, but they chose not to actively, which I think is fucked. Creators like this person just cover drama really quickly and as it happens, which is pretty bad. Like, I don't know. It seems fucked up because there is, the original messages are inappropriate. That, you know, Lava knew about, like, the hentai shit, and they could have just scrubbed the fuck out of that and been like, oh, here's somebody who was a minor that was, like, being sent sexual jokes by, like, fucking Kris Tyson. There you go. Boom, done. And you didn't have to drag Lava into it. You know what I mean? I think that people have to be really careful with this kind of stuff, personally. Because now I think we're at this point where if Kris Tyson really is an evil great molester, which I would not put it past Kris Tyson, even kind of, just based on Kris Tyson's predilections. Well, now you guys are fucked. Now you guys, like, Wile E. Coyote'd yourselves into this hole where it's like anybody who comes out with allegations is going to be ripped to fucking shreds by the wolves because you guys so haphazardly threw this together, like, overnight because you wanted to ride the wave of the lolicon shit. Like, you guys fucked this up really bad. Because if there was, like, all of this damning information, all these people that were willing to come forward, look at how you treated Lava. Now anybody who is actually a victim that may have actually been, like, predated upon and physically hurt, that person just saw how you handled Lava. They just saw the way that you were like, fuck you, we got all of our information, go kill yourself in a video game, we're doing our nuke stream, I don't give a fuck if you want us to or not. What does that say to anybody else who wants to come out? You put them in a really fucked up situation. It just got fucking biffed. Because they wanted to ride the wave. And it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate because I think that the Kris Tyson stuff is pretty damning, in my opinion. We didn't need all of this extra bullshit. Wasn't necessary. Like, what was there enough. And anything that wasn't given with the consent of Lava, I think it's fucked up. It's, like, unethically sourced. Like, that sounds like really soy to say. But if somebody's, like, giving information under false pretenses and then you take that information against their wishes and come out with a nuke, that seems kind of fucked up. It's like you're not in it to make them safer or feel better or get them justice or any sense of accountability or anything. It's literally just for you to get views. And that seems really fucked up. That seems pretty fucked up. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It's pretty fucked.